You are listening to Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness with your hosts, Angie Roberts and Kimberly Murphy. Please be advised that some of the topics of this podcast can be triggering and sensitive in nature.
Hey guys, welcome back to Unified for the final week of our Toxic Relationship mini-series with Karleigh Saunders. We return to the conversation with a discussion on trauma bonding and priming your brain for recovery. Let's jump right in.
So trauma bonding is something that I am becoming increasingly fascinated with because of how the brain works. Basically, in the long and short of it is a connection that your brain makes with your abuser. Very similar to the idea of Stockholm syndrome, where you become, you've been abused for so long, but you've been with this person where you begin to love your abuser. It's similar in that concept. However, it's something that's a little bit more gradual. I don't want to say it like that, but it's something that happens over time with this person, not because, you're isolated and locked in a cage, but in a physical sense. But it's more so the more you connect with this person, there's that trauma bond. And so that's why in so many people, and I'm seeing this in groups I'm in, I'm seeing this with people reaching out to me, I've seen it in my clients, is they feel so guilty for leaving. They feel so guilty. They feel like they're doing something wrong and it physically hurts. And then they feel guilt about feeling the guilt because they know that they shouldn't be feeling the guilt because the person was awful.
Right.
And it ends up in this cycle.
Yep.
And there's a lot more to trauma bonding than that, but I have found that to be the best example because that is something that I've been through and I've seen so many other women go through. And it's this where you get in this mindset. And again, I like to specify, and this is why I talk about the brain so much, because so often we put this on ourselves. Why can't I let go of him? What's wrong with me? Why is all this? Being able to step back and go, okay, the brain is doing what it's doing because on a biological level, it's trying to protect me, takes away that shame of I'm so broken instead of my brain is having a biological response. And so that's why I talk about the brain so much. So with a trauma bond, your brain legitimately becomes connected to this person almost as if, it's another extension of who you are. If someone were to come up to you and see a big tumor on your arm and they rip the tumor off, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like a whole lot of words, right? Even though it's really good that you got the tumor out, it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt for a long time. And then not only does it hurt, is it has to heal, and you have to keep it clean, and it's going to hurt through the healing. That's exactly what happens when you leave a relationship and you have this, you leave an abusive relationship and you have that pain. And it's a physical pain. It is not all in your head. It's not something that's just in your mind. Your body physically reacts to this because your brain has created such a strong connection that you may physically get sick. You may get the flu. Right. You may get a cold. Your body may, you may develop an autoimmune disease because your body will start attacking itself because it doesn't know what to do. Your body has a very physical response. And I did not know this when I first got out. I just felt extremely guilty. I felt guilty about the guilt that I felt.
We were actually talking about this, that how trauma might have a really strong connection to autoimmune disease. And there's a lot of studies coming out now that are saying trauma has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
Anyone listening to this, these are all signs. You are not the exception. I'm really sorry to tell you that you're not the Cinderella princess standout. Okay, and also I don't know why anyone wants to be Cinderella. He didn't even recognize her face. He had to look at her in the face and then put a shoe on her foot. I don't understand why you would want that. But you're not. I don't want to take away from anyone's individuality, but honey, you're not the special one. You're not the one that he's not going to treat like garbage. You're not the one that's going to be different than everybody else. If all he has to say, if every single one of his exes is crazy, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Like if you're sitting, like if I was having a conversation with a girlfriend the other day, she's like, yeah, all of his exes did this. And I was like, wait, all of his exes all acted in the same way?
Right.
They probably did. They probably did go crazy.
You mean they all ghosted him?
Okay, so a woman finds herself in this situation and she's like, okay, you're right, Karleigh. I'm not Cinderella. What do I do? I don't know how to leave. I don't know how to break away from him. I don't know what I'm supposed to do so that I don't want to be with him anymore. What do I do?
So the very first step, it's going to sound way too easy, but it's also going to be the most difficult part of legitimately the entire process. And I'm not making light of anything. I am not trying to be sarcastic in any way. I'm a very sarcastic human, but that's not what's about to come out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The very first step is to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You have to legitimately sit down and make the decision and say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm going to leave.
Right.
A lot of the times women will start talking saying, I don't know how to leave. I don't know what to do, but they haven't even made the decision to leave yet. Because what they're really looking for is, yes, they want validation for their situation. They want to be told that they deserve better without acting on the fact that they deserve better. And that's a little bit of tough love. That's a lot of bit of tough love, actually. But again, it's only because I love you too much to let you stay where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to make that decision. You have to sit down and go, okay, what do I deserve? What do I want? What's the life that I want to live? And does not fit it, and I'm going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Once you make that decision, I'm not saying the rest is going to be easy, but making that decision takes so much. Because making that decision means you have to admit that you're in a situation you can't handle anymore.
Right.
Which means taking personal responsibility. Another reason that women stay in abusive relationships for so long is because it becomes uncomfortable. Your brain craves consistency. Your brain craves wanting to know what's next. And so if every single day your man comes home from work and gets drunk and insults you, you don't like that, but your brain knows it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going to happen.
And leaving is scary. Yeah.
Exactly. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how he's going to react, because there's a part of you that wants him to, like, do the whole, oh my gosh, I'm going to change. I don't want to lose you, and then there's the other part of you that's like, no, I don't know why I want that. I don't want him to ever talk to me again. And then you're battling through all of that unknown along with the unknown of moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why that whole making that decision is such a big deal. And I hate when people make light of the fact that they made the decision. Like, don't put down someone who's just reached out to you and said they want to leave. Don't tell them they should have done it sooner. Don't say, well, duh.
Right.
Say, you know what? I'm proud of you. What can I do to help?
The problem is, too, though, is a lot of them say, that's it, I'm done. And then the next day they're like, well, you know what I mean? Like, they'll say I'm done so many times. So I think people stop believing it. And that's sad because, yeah.
And that's what's really, really hard. And that is why, like, the moment someone says, well, just leave, it's like you have obviously no idea what it's like to experience this. And you clearly don't understand brain chemistry at all. But it's also along the lines of, tell a smoker to quit smoking.
Mm-hmm.
If they smoke 2, 3, 4 packs a day and you tell them to stop smoking tomorrow, they'll stop smoking for maybe an hour.
Right.
2 hours. Maybe they'll get away with 2 or 3 days. And then they jump back on the cigarettes. That's kind of expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet we get so upset with women when they do the same thing.
Right.
It's the exact same response in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I was kind of, well, you know what? I was blunt in your face. That's fine. It needs to be. And so that's one of the reasons why, and that's not to say don't enable people. And that's a mistake that I made with a friend of mine, is I thought things were getting better and I wanted to be there for her and I wanted to be her friend. And so I was like, well, okay, maybe he did change, and I was like really supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And by being that supportive, I was enabling her.
Mm-hmm.
And I encouraged her to stay.
I've done that.
There is a very, very fine line between supporting someone regardless of where they're at and enabling. You can make it very clear if your friend comes to you and they want to talk about stuff, you can be upfront and say, you know what? I don't like the guy and I'm not going to pretend to, but I love you and I care about you. And so what you need me to do right now, I will be here for you. If you want to vent, you can vent. If you need to just cry, you can cry. If you want to go off about something he did, you can do that. But I want you to know that this behavior is not okay, and I'm not going to ever say it's okay.
You were talking before about priming your brain for recovery. So how do you actually do that?
Oh my goodness. Okay, this one, this is one of my favorite parts of what I do, because of all the light bulb moments. Like, this is my favorite phase of like working with people, because when you begin to really hit home, all of these light bulb moments happen. And I get, when you see a woman who just like really recognizes her worth, it just never, there's nothing better than that. It's so exciting. So priming your brain, I should have my framework out in front of me and I don't, but basically priming your brain is getting it ready for the work you're about to do. Priming your brain may take 3 weeks. It may take a few months. So what do I mean by prime your brain? Well, right now your brain is in survival mode. Your brain is just trying to make it to tomorrow. It's just trying to make sure that you survive.
Right.
Now, that's a good thing because you're alive, but it also means that your brain has probably grabbed onto an unhealthy behavior or two, like grabbing onto abusive relationships, in order to survive. So if you find yourself in abusive relationships over and over and over again, it's because it's become a constant in your brain. Not victim blaming. I'm not saying it's your fault, but your brain will subconsciously seek out qualities that are going to end up that way because it's what you're used to, what you're comfortable with. If you were abused by people that loved you, or that you thought loved you and that you loved, you're going to think that's normal. So we have to begin to break that pattern, but the breaking that pattern is going to take time. And so we have to get it ready. The very first thing, very, 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 very first thing that I have women do is start with affirmations. And the word affirmation gets a whole lot of bad rap. And there is a place for the woo-woo, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. And I chose those for a reason. I am strong. Because the fact of the matter is you are stronger than life is hard. You are strong enough to leave. You are strong enough to get out. You are strong enough to heal. End of story. I am strong. It's a full sentence. I am strong. That encompasses so much, because when you feel weak, you need to remind yourself that you're strong. I am capable. I am legitimately capable of doing anything I put my mind to. I don't know if I can do this. You know what? I'm capable of figuring it out. Oh my gosh, I've got this presentation. I'm probably going to bomb at it. But you know what? I am capable of delivering this. I'm capable of being a good mom. I am capable of raising a child on my own. That was something that was the reason that I actually chose that, because becoming a single mom and accepting my single momness was really, really, really hard. And I was like, and I thought that I wasn't enough, even though I basically did it on my own, even when we're together, but that's a whole nother situation. But reminding myself that I am capable was something that came up a lot. So I added that into the affirmations. I am strong. I am capable. I am intelligent. So for my son, I have him say the word smart, just because intelligence is a big word for a kid. But I use the word intelligent for a reason. Smart is a good word. There's nothing wrong with the word smart. But when you say, I'm intelligent, like it hits different. It gets you in your soul. Like, it's like, okay, no, I am intelligent. You know, I may not be book smart, or I may not be smart in this area, but I am intelligent. I am intelligent enough to keep myself alive. I am intelligent enough to know what my body is saying. I am intelligent enough to know what I should and shouldn't do, so on and so forth. This last one was a really big thing for me, and it was, I am worthy. Every single person on this planet is worthy. Period. It's a full sentence. Worthy. And I heard it on Brooke Castillo's The Life Coach School podcast. She is absolutely amazing, and this will never leave my mind. You will never be more worthy than you are right now. You are not more worthy tomorrow. You were not more worthy yesterday. There is nothing you could do to add to your worth. There's nothing you could do to take away from your worth. You are worthy. Period. End of story. And so the last part of really priming your brain is celebrating the victories. And I have found the word victory is a very, very, very triggering word, because every single time I give out this assignment, I come back to check it out, and they're like, I don't know what, I have nothing to write down. So what I have them do is at the end of every day for a week. So because generally we have a session once a week. And so by the time I hang up the call before the next call, I have them write down 5 victories that they had every single day. The next meeting, without fail, they only have maybe 1 or 2 for the entire week.
Right.
And they're like, I didn't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about victories. I don't have any victories to declare. And then I tell them, because what I tell them is that if they don't have that list of 5 every day, our next session will be rescheduled. So we hop on the call. They don't have that list. And I say, okay, are you going to be available, on some other day? And they're like, wait, it was today. I said, I told you needed to write this down. And so then it forces them to come back and think that they don't like me. And that's fine. I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm here to help you grow. You don't have to like me. That's cool. And then they begin to really think, because I record sessions so they can go back and rewatch. And you're like, okay, what did I miss? And the thing that I really want for people to hear loud and clear is that, yes, slaying the dragon is a victory, but there is so much that has to happen before you even get there. You want your brain to catch yourself when you beat yourself up for what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
You want your brain to recognize every single victory along the way. And then you want your brain to celebrate those victories. Once this becomes a habit, once this becomes a discipline, recovery is not easy no matter what you do. Recovery is not easy however you choose to look at it. But you are going to feel so much better if you start with priming your brain for recovery. Mm-hmm. If you start with this positive self-talk, if you start with catching your negative, if you start with celebrating your victories, if you start with acknowledging everything you do, you're going to be so much more apt to come out of this with less added trauma. Because working through this stuff is traumatic in and of itself.
Right.
But if you can begin to recognize, okay, look at all the things I've done. Yes, I went through this, and yes, I recognized he pushed a boundary, and yes, I let him, and I shouldn't have, but you know what? I'm a survivor anyway. I am still worthy of love anyway. I am stronger than this. I am capable than this. I'm more capable than this. Mm-hmm. When you get ready that way, before you dive into anything crazy, as irritating as people are, because people just want to get right into the hard stuff. But if your brain is not ready for the hard stuff, it's just like it's like saying that you want to cut out sugar, but you don't go grocery shopping and your house is full of Oreos. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's still possible, like, to not eat the sugar, but it's going to be a heck of a lot harder than if you were to just go grocery shopping and get rid of the Oreos, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that you're not going to want to stop and get a soda on the way home from McDonald's. It doesn't mean that you're not going to want to go and get a donut. It just means that you're making the good things more accessible and the bad things less accessible.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and will continue with us for part 4, which is available now, where Karleigh wraps up this discussion with the 5 steps to recovery. Thanks for listening.